1, 2, 3.
Yeah!
Hello and welcome to Uncovered Acapella. I'm your host, Brian Michaels. This is the premier acapella podcast featuring only originals, no cover tunes. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Here's Uncovered Acapella. Hello, welcome. It's a brand new week. That means it's time for a brand new episode of Uncovered Acapella with me, Brian Michaels. Every Wednesday, I bring you 3 great original acapella songs from 3 completely different artists. This week, we're going to kick it off with my good friends Marku Corner and their original song, Changes.
Don't you tell me about the times we've had after all that slipped away. I know nothing now can take me back to where we used to be. Set my thoughts out on the breeze that night, sent them far, far away. I hope by now you've gone and put them back where they're meant to be. For time brings changes, I've gone my way, but since then my days seem to have no reason. I wonder how I can get you back tonight. Whoa, tonight. Excited, I woke up that Sunday morning. I'm looking forward to this day. I know how I feel now. I'm waiting for what you have to say. You say you love me but are quite confused on how to act or what to do. I want to say, my darling, take me back and hold me close to you. For time brings changes, I've gone my way, but since then my days seem to have no reason. I wonder how I can get you back tonight. Whoa, tonight. For time brings changes, I've gone my way, but since then my days seem to have no reason. I wonder how I can get you back tonight. Whoa, tonight. Tonight.
And that was Changes by Marku Corner. For our next song on this week's episode, we're going to go to the East Coast and check in with 5 O'Clock Shadow. This is their original song, Stop and Say Hello.
Stop and say hello. Why don't you stop and say it? Stop and say hello.
Nobody does it anymore.
Stop and say hello. Why don't you stop and say it? Stop and say hello.
Kick it!
Well, I've been living in this crazy northern town. Whoa, now seems way too long. I'm wondering what is happening to my sense of common courtesy. I'm trying not to treat nobody wrong. on the ground. Nobody says excuse me as they're stepping on your feet. I'm sick and tired of being pushed around.
Stop and say hello. Why don't you stop and say it? Stop and say hello.
Nobody does it anymore.
Stop and say hello. Why don't you stop and say it? Stop and say hello.
Now I'm not trying to exploit you, just trying to start a conversation. Last thing I wanna do is annoy you. Just say hello and I'll go away.
Stop and say hello. Why don't you stop and say it? Stop and say hello.
Nobody does it anymore.
Stop and say hello. Why don't you stop and say it? Stop and say hello. Stop and say it. Stop and say hello. Stop and say it.
Don't just stop
and say hello. Stop and say it. Stop and say hello. Stop and say
Why
it.
don't just
Stop and say hello. Stop and say it. Stop and say hello.
Don't just stop.
Stop and say
Why don't just stop and say hello?
Stop and say it. Stop and say
Stop and say hello.
Stop and say hello. Stop and say hello. Stop.
And that was 5 o'clock Shadow with Stop and Say Hello, which brings us up to our final song in this week's episode. One more original a cappella song on this week's show, and we're going to go to Utah. This is the group Inside Out and their song, I'll Fly.
I sit under heaven and measure its reaches and stars. I stand still considering the mystery with trembling and awe. Gentle the east wind, she spreads out a new sky and scatters her bright clouds and snow. I walk in the search of the depths for memories of visions my soul seems to know. Wind speaks of secrets in languages ancient and deep, whispering her mystery in words that my mind cannot keep. I dream I remember the voice of the morning stars singing so near, but then I awake, they fade, and I'm left with the echoes my soul seems to hear. I'll fly like a bird to your mountain high. I'll cry and be heard singing to the sky. I'll fly like a bird. I'll fly from the world. Whoa. Shadows won't darken forever, a new day will dawn. The weeping endure for a night, in the morning it's gone. Sweet follows bitter and lightens a heart full of sorrow for what it could be. Answers will come in the still of a moment, and sometimes my soul seems to see. I'll fly like a bird to your mountain high.
Closing us out, that's All Fly by Inside Out.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And that's going to wrap up this week's episode of Uncovered Acapella. I'm your host, Brian Michaels. Be sure to subscribe where your favorite podcasts are available. If you really enjoy the show, we'd appreciate it if you leave us a review. So until next time, I'm Brian Michaels with Uncovered Acapella.